On 5 News, Britain's next Prime Minister will be a woman. Home Secretary Theresa May leads the way in the Tory leadership ballot, winning the support of nearly 200 of her fellow MPs.
This vote shows that the Conservative Party can come together and that under my leadership it will.
She's up against Energy Minister Andrea Leadsom, who beat Michael Gove to second place. We'll tell you what happens next. Also this evening, a tragic industrial accident. 5 men crushed to death at a recycling plant in Birmingham. We're there with the latest.
He's covered. He ain't killed my boyfriend.
Another black man shot dead by US police, and it's captured on camera. Killed for his religious beliefs, a man pleads guilty to the murder of a Muslim shopkeeper. The Dragons' dream is over, but Wales will come home as heroes after their Euro 2016 campaign. And
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. No, tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Sound familiar? The old Spice Girls hit inspiring a new generation. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. Britain's next Prime Minister will be a woman. In the last half hour, the final 2 candidates in the Tory leadership were announced. Theresa May, the Home Secretary, was the runaway winner, securing the backing of 199 of her colleagues. The other winner was the Energy Minister, Andrea Leadsom, who beat Michael Gove to secure the final spot with 84 votes. Our political editor, Andy Bell, reports.
So Conservative MPs have chosen Home Secretary Theresa May and Energy Minister Andrea Leadsom. Party members will now vote to decide who will be the leader and Prime Minister. Michael Gove, the man who abandoned Boris Johnson to run himself, has been knocked out. In the last few minutes, Theresa May has given her reaction.
We need proven leadership to negotiate the best deal for leaving the European Union, to unite our party and our country, and to make Britain a country that works not for the privileged few, but for everyone.
Earlier, Andrea Leadsom had taken to the stage in front of very loyal supporters and pushed her central message that she is the enthusiastic Leave candidate.
My first task is to show how great our potential is as a nation. Let's banish the pessimists. So today, I want to speak to the markets as well as to the nation. No one needs to fear our decision to leave the EU.
Afterwards, her supporters, without her, marched on Parliament.
Leadsom for leader, everybody! Leadsom for leader!
It all felt a bit awkward.
So MPs voted in a committee room down at the end of this corridor. This is as close as we've been allowed to get. And there have been some allegations of backroom deals, even dirty tricks. And it does seem that behind the scenes, something has been going on.
Last night, Michael Gove's campaign manager Nick Bowles texted a number of Tory MPs asking them not to vote for Andrea Leadsom, saying, "Are we really confident the membership won't vote for a fresh face who shares their attitudes about much of modern life, like they did with IDS?" IDS, or Ian Duncan Smith, is backing Leadsom and didn't think much of that.
Look, you know, this is meant to be about bringing the party together. This is about being strong and positive about your opponent so that whoever becomes Prime Minister, we can get back to support them. I simply have only one message to people to say, look, cut out all that bitching about other people. You know, that's not what we're about.
We'll know which of them's won at the beginning of September, but one thing seems certain. Britain is about to get a second woman Prime Minister.
So, Andy, it was a landslide for Theresa May from Tory MPs, but it's all up for grabs now, isn't it? Because it's down to the Conservative Party members. Who knows how they'll vote?
Yes, we're into a completely new ballgame now. It's about 130,000 Conservative Party members around the country who will vote by post and will have the result in early September. And you can see how the Leadsom team, for a start, is going to run this campaign. They're basically going to say Theresa May is fine, but the fact is she's not someone who believed in the Leave campaign. She actually was on the Remain side during that debate. They will say, on the other hand, that Andrea Leadsom was an enthusiastic Leave campaigner, and she is the one who has the vision to actually make Britain work in this new world we're going into with Britain outside the EU. That is the shape of the campaign I think we're going to see over the next few weeks.
Andy, thank you. A horrific accident at a recycling plant in Birmingham has crushed and killed 5 men. A 12-foot wall made of concrete slabs tumbled on top of them. A 6th man escaped from the rubble and is being treated for serious leg injuries. Simon Vigar reports now from Birmingham.
When ambulance and fire crews arrived here this morning, it was clear nothing could be done for most of the victims. This is a major metal recycling site, and a concrete retaining wall had collapsed, crushing to death 5 people.
It's a wall constructed of blocks that we think weigh about 1.5 tonnes each. They are concrete blocks, huge blocks. That wall was supporting and retaining a body of scrap metal. It appears that that wall has collapsed on top of the men, and then the scrap metal that was behind the wall has also fallen on top.
The twisted metal and concrete is unstable, and heavy lifting gear has been brought in. One man did manage to scramble free despite a broken leg. He is now being treated at Heartlands Hospital. Hawkswood Metal Recycling processes 500,000 tonnes of metal every year. In February, there was a major fire on this site. Fire and rescue crews say the bodies will be recovered in the most timely and safe way.
The scene is an extremely challenging one for us, involving significant tonnage of concrete and metal and a structure that is still unstable.
The scale of this tragedy is clear, and the local MP says serious questions will have to be answered. But they will come later.
Yesterday was the Eid day, so we celebrated Eid with most of them. So the action is here. It's a very sad moment for all of us.
First, the bodies need to be released and then identified by the bereaved families.
And Simon, what's the latest you're hearing there about what might have happened?
Well, it's absolutely horrific, isn't it, Sian? Many, if not all of the victims are from the Gambian community here in Birmingham. The fire crew saying it's a very traumatic incident, and some of the local councillors here, and this is just hearsay, are saying there were concerns about operations. They will be following the Health and Safety Executive investigation very closely. The HSE is on site, and serious questions are being asked by the local MP.
Simon, thank you. More than 1,000 people are killed by police every year in the United States, and a disproportionate number of them are African American. Now, communities are in uproar after 2 fatal shootings by officers were captured on camera. In Louisiana, a video has emerged of a man shot in the chest and back, and in Minnesota, the girlfriend of another man shot by police filmed the aftermath and broadcast it live on Facebook. A warning that Layla Hayes' report does contain some of that disturbing footage.
We got pulled over for a busted tail light in the back, and the police he's covered. He killed my boyfriend.
This is Philando Castile's girlfriend, live streaming just moments after he was shot dead by police. The 32-year-old had been stopped by officers in the US state of Minnesota because his car had a broken brake light.
He let the officer know that he had a firearm and he was reaching for his wallet, and the officer just shot him in his arm.
With his gun still drawn, the officer tries to explain what's happened.
I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
You told him to get his ID, sir, and his driver's license. Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
The woman's young daughter was also in the car at the time.
Please, officer, don't tell me that you just did this to him. You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration, sir.
The woman leaves the car and is confronted with a number of armed police.
Let me see your head. Exit now.
Just a day earlier, another black man was shot dead by police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Officers say father of 5, Alton Sterling, was armed, but friends say he wasn't reaching for a gun when he was shot.
We want justice!
Since his death, hundreds have protested outside the shop where he was killed. The aunt who raised him as a son says she found him.
When I saw him on the ground, I still didn't believe it. Because I kept asking, is that my son? Is he dead? And he said, we can't talk to you. So I thought he was down on the ground and had him handcuffed. I didn't know he was dead.
The death of these two men has added to concerns about excessive force used by police against mostly black victims. There is anger, but also despair, with many questioning why this keeps on happening. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Here, a bus has crashed into a bank on a busy high street, killing one person. The elderly pedestrian became trapped under the vehicle after it smashed into a branch of the Halifax in Darlington. The driver has been arrested on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving. The former celebrity publicist Max Clifford has been cleared of indecently assaulting a teenage girl. The 73-year-old had always denied the charge. He's already serving an 8-year jail term for a string of sex offences against young women. It was a brutal murder which left a community heartbroken. A popular Muslim shopkeeper stabbed outside his Glasgow store just because of his religious beliefs. Today, a court heard that a 32-year-old man drove 200 miles to kill Asad Shah after watching videos he had put online. Dominic Reynolds reports.
We have to join together.
Delivered from behind the counter of his Glasgow shop, Asad Shah's videos about his beliefs could be seen anywhere. One of his online viewers, 200 miles away, was Tanvir Ahmed. In March, he drove from Bradford to Mr. Shah's shop and he stabbed him 30 times. He did it, he said, because Mr. Shah had blasphemed. As Ahmed pleaded guilty to murder today, Judge Lady Ray said this was a truly despicable crime, motivated, it seems, by your sense of offence at a man's expression of his religious beliefs, which differ from yours. Let me be clear, there is no justification whatsoever for what you did. The court was told the attack inside and then outside the shop was so brutal, Mr. Shah was left with head injuries typical of a car crash victim.
I think it's exceedingly shocking. You know, nobody expects this sort of thing to happen, particularly in a community where we can say that it's a very tolerant and very supportive community. It lasted about 4 minutes, and within that time, you know, it was a brutal attack. It was horrific.
Mr. Shah followed the Ahmadiyya branch of Islam. This mosque is its UK centre. It focuses on tolerance to other religions and it believes in a second prophet after Muhammad. And that's led to persecution, especially in Pakistan.
It has sent a shockwave throughout the community.
One of the faith's UK leaders told me there's now nervousness here, that persecution could be coming to the UK.
It's a case of them being worried that this is happening on UK soil. But secondly, also quite confident that the British justice system is strong, there is law and order in this country, so there is some action that can be taken.
Fareed wants the government to do more to guard against further intolerance growing. He was said to be a peaceful and a popular man. Asad Shah's family came to Britain to get away from religious intolerance. His murderer will be sentenced next month. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
Still to come on the programme.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Girl Power's back, the return of the Spice Girls with a new message.
And I'm in Lyon, where Wales' Euro 2016 dream came to an end. But they are heading home heroes after a stunning tournament.
All that and more after the break.
Spend a perfect evening with the original entertainers. Brand new Cats Make You Laugh Out Loud, Sunday at 8 on Channel 5.
Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Families of some of the British servicemen and women killed in Iraq have told 5 News they're considering taking legal action against Tony Blair. It follows the publication yesterday of Sir John Chilcott's report into the conflict, which said the former Prime Minister overstated the threat posed by Saddam Hussein. Julian Drucker reports.
The damning findings of the Chilcott inquiry now hang upon him.
Good morning, Mr. Blair. How did you sleep?
But aside from the heckling and the criticism, is Tony Blair facing the prospect of prosecution for his role in the Iraq War? There was little vindication for him in those 2.6 million words. Sir John Chilcot found inadequate planning before and after the war, ill-equipped troops and a reliance on flawed intelligence. But perhaps the most crucial question about the conflict was outside his remit.
The inquiry has not expressed a view on whether military action was legal.
And Geoffrey Robertson QC, a former United Nations appeal judge, says prosecuting Mr. Blair is a legal impossibility.
The invasion of Iraq, in my judgment, was unlawful. It was a breach of the United Nations Charter. However, there is no crime, there was no crime in 2003 that could punish it.
The War Crimes Tribunal, which found former Bosnian Serb leader Radovan Karadzic guilty. Mr. Blair strenuously denies he acted illegally, but his archest critics wish to see him appear in a similar hearing.
His name's Tony Blair, the world's worst terrorist.
24 hours after her impassioned attack, Sarah O'Connor, who lost her brother in Iraq, told me she and the other families are considering their next step.
There are different avenues that we need to pursue, and all because somebody's saying that they don't feel that they can try. You know, we have to look at it forensically, legally, with due diligence.
So you're perhaps looking at a civil claim now?
Well, literally, like I say, I won't be tied down to a yes or no answer, because it's something that I can't answer until I've looked at this and I've spoken with the lawyers at length.
Battlefield to courtroom will be a slow process for the families. Julian Drucker, 5 News.
The dream is finally over for Wales, but what a journey it's been. The team will be heading home soon after losing 2-0 to Portugal in the Euro 2016 semi-final. But they're sure to get a hero's welcome after taking the side further than any other Welsh team in history. And as Peter Lane reports now from Lyon, it's been a tournament that the fans will never forget.
To the trains, planes and buses out of here. Fans heading home this morning after defeat, but what a ride it's been.
It's obviously disappointing, but the boys did everything, the fans did everything. We're very proud. We're going home happy people.
You wouldn't have missed us for the world?
Not for the world, it's been fantastic.
How much have you spent during this
Probably
tournament?
£4,500 to £5,000 possibly flying in and out, so yeah, it's the kids' inheritance, but it's been absolutely wonderful.
Also on the move, the Wales squad and their families, led by manager Chris Coleman, heading from Lyon back to their base camp. Memories of an amazing month for Gareth Bale and co. A cheeky pint, and why not after such success? Wales rewrote the Euros, with goals to top their group and a team spirit to inspire a nation. It saw these celebrations after victory at what was their first quarter-final in more than 50 years. Leading them to their biggest ever match, last night's semi-final. Hearts eventually broken by 2 goals from Portugal. Heads held high, as summed up by their manager.
I've told them how proud I am of them. The nation's proud of them. I think once they settle down a bit in the next day or so, they'll be proud of themselves when they look back.
At the fan zone here in Lyon, the semi-final was an anxious affair. And with that second goal from Portugal, realisation the dream was over. But at the final whistle, celebration of all they've achieved.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Couldn't be more proud of the Wales.
The team's been fantastic, Chris Coleman's been fantastic, the supporters have been fantastic, the French have been fantastic.
So as Wales say goodbye to this tournament and goodbye to France, they can look ahead to a huge homecoming party and open-top bus parade in Cardiff tomorrow.
Until then, for the stragglers, one last afternoon in the sun here, basking in the success that's changed so much for Welsh football. Peter Lane, 5 News, Lyon.
Now, 20 years after they burst onto the scene with their own special brand of girl power, the Spice Girls' iconic song Wannabe is being used to inspire a whole new generation. The video is being remade to raise awareness of gender inequality around the world. And the Spice Girls themselves say they're proud it's being used for such an important cause. Minnie Stevenson has more.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Now, you may think, where
has the time gone? But it's been 20 years since Girl Power burst onto our screens. And now the Spice Girls song Wannabe is having a renaissance and a remake. Introducing Wannabe version 2. The new video has been made by a British campaign called Project Everyone. And to quote the Spice Girls, here's the story from A to B. Their mission is to highlight global gender inequality, featuring female artists from Bollywood to Britain. So what do they really want? Well, the plan is to take this video to UN leaders in the autumn and campaign for equal pay and an education for every girl on the globe.
There is a plan now that if it's fulfilled, by 2030, some of these issues should be gone. So it will be a world where women do not suffer violence, girls do not suffer violence.
Well, the Spice Girls are firmly behind the idea. The artist formerly known as Posh Spice, Victoria Beckham, tweeted, 20 years on, girl power being used to empower a new generation. So proud.
No, I think you're very sexy.
Back in 1996, as Prince Charles learnt, the Spice Girls never held back. And the director of the new Wannabe video says girl power is still as potent as ever.
I think that girl power is still incredibly relevant today, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the young women that are really reviving and owning feminism in 2016 were the same little girls that grew up with girl power.
2 decades on, for anyone who ever doubted Wannabe as a pop flash in the pan, it seems girl power is alive and well. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
That's it for now. Sian Welby has the weather next. Matt's back in an hour with 5 News tonight. More reaction to the news that Britain will soon have a new woman Prime Minister. That's at 6:30. For now, though, thanks for watching tonight. Goodbye for now.